it.
Hello out there, thanks for joining us on Political Platform, and we want to thank you as your everyday's attention to us and the time you give to listen to all the reports we have for you on the program. 24 hours, we gather all the reports for you and we do the analysis of those programs. Yesterday it was not one that was flowing easy in the effort by the president, the acting president, to continue his dialogue. There was a fundamental mistake that was made, and he retreated. Now, the dialogue between the acting president and top government officials, including the leadership of the National Assembly, with the northern leaders, couldn't hold yesterday as planned. Indeed, some of them had arrived location before they realized that some critical leaders in the north were not invited. It does appear that those who drew up the invitation only remembered Muslim leaders, and the acting president must have his attention must have been taken to it, and they quickly called it off because the leaders of the north, from particularly the non-Muslim part of Nigeria, were conspicuously absent. But that was a very good one that it didn't go on before the situations and the interpretations. But by 3 p.m. today, all the leaders from the north, including the traditional leaders and the religious leaders, will be with the acting president to continue with the dialogue. And some persons are already asking the question, what are the takeaways from all these dialogues that are going on? We'll be talking about it on the program. But essentially, our focus this morning, indeed, for those who also listen to us in the evening on AIT, will be the electoral process that is on. We have stayed too far away from telling you that the Independent National Electoral Commission is still continuing with the voter registration. And 5 political parties also came on board, and we are told that 103 political parties, our political associations, have applied, and the applications have been scrutinized. And we also have one basic provision in the Constitution being tested: a recall of a senator from Kogi State. How does it work? Who calls the shots? The electorate? How do they get themselves organized? What is the role of the Independent National Electoral Commission in it? And at the end of the program, you have a clear idea of what indeed is going on. The much we can really get to tell you in the course of the 30 minutes program. My name is Okiri Agbonsuremi. Let me first of all introduce our guest who is joining us to help us dissect some of the issues we'll be raising up. Is the man at the helm of affairs at the Partners for Electoral Reform, Mr. Ezewan Ogu. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I have my colleagues who are here, Dr. Amechi Anakwe. Amechi, welcome to the program.
Hello and welcome to the program.
Ijoma Osamo is here.
Thank you, Okiri.
And Mustafa Mohammed is also here.
Thank you, Okiri. I didn't start today that whenever you talk about northern traditional rulers, they invite only those from the northwest, the Ochedoma, the Tortif, the Gwangwan Jaws, even the oldest empire, the Kanem Borno Empire, the Shehu of Borno, the Shehu of Dikwa, are not either invited or recognized. And you know, these are some of the faulty structures that the northerners continue to debate. I think it was a fundamental mistake they made by not inviting some of these big people, and then they later realize.
Well, we just do hope that they don't just realize it, that the mistake of yesterday, and that it is one that will be on the card for everybody to know. And there's the other debate that is on, that the Ministry of Education has removed the Christian religious knowledge from the subjects that are to be. Please, from the checks and from our correspondent, we have discovered that it may not be wholly, totally true. In fact, if I would say it is not true that the Christian religious knowledge has been removed. Those who are just looking for opportunity to find the disunity clause, the embers of our disunity will just always find a way. There's a manager of all the subjects. In the course of the program, we will read to you all the subjects. Religious subject, has been merged, whether it is Christian or Muslim, it has all been merged in a single subject. Some people have argued that it is bogus, it's something that they should have separated. But it is
civic education.
See, it is not as if one has been removed or dropped for the other. But if time permits us, or subsequently, we'll read to you all the subjects that have been merged, and those who are sending WhatsApp messages to promote the disunity that they desire for Nigeria should always take a look at those facts. And if you get those messages, please make inquiries. Or the Ministry of Education is available. You can, a phone call away can, even to a teacher any teacher in the school can explain to you what has happened.
Ohiria, talking about the inclusivity of the talks going on, some other leaders in southern Nigeria, of course, I saw the spokesperson of the Afenifere group, Yinko Dumaki, yesterday insist that they should also be brought into the parley with the acting president. That every other group, not just the southeast, but of course they should consider leaders of the south and southwest. Of course, if you know, it appears the acting president had concentrated his consultations with leaders from the southeast and of course the corner. So it's better if the time permits. Maybe it's the first round, maybe he's still planning a more elaborate, expansive consultations, but the earlier they come, the better.
I agree with you. It is not one. We actually said so yesterday that beyond these elders we are seeing, because some persons will tell you that the faces of these elders just get many young people angry. I mean, they will say they are the people who have been here for a long time. They are the people who have been there. But I just tell them they are not all elders as you want to say it, because the Sultan of Sokoto, by any stretch of imagination, he was in the military just yesterday, Brigadier General, and it's not one that you will say is in the rank with Amadou Bello and those who were in the north those days. Yes, elder by his position, by the fact that he is a traditional and religious leader. But if you look at his mindset, his age, his associates, his the understanding of Nigeria, by any stretch of imagination, you cannot categorize him as somebody who is too old to talk about the issue of Nigeria. The same thing with so many other people who are being invited. Some persons will point to even younger people who have responsibilities in Nigeria, who have not been able to perform compared to those who are elderly. That is not a matter of segregation between elder and the young. It's a problem of Nigeria.
Ohiria, I believe the reason why they call most of them elders is because they are the ones that are clamoring to become leaders of tomorrow. They are the ones that are clamoring to be president, to be governors. In few months' time, you see them going out to campaign and start calling people, going around the country like the one we saw in 2014, to tell the people to vote for me as president of this country, when you cannot even sit down and secure a one united Nigeria. I think we should talk to these politicians. If you can't bring Nigeria together as a country, which country do you want to govern? Which country do you want to become a president of? Because if they keep quiet and watch these things go on like this, it will not even be good for their political career. So that's what I think. That's why they are calling on most of them, whether you are still young, you are not old enough to be an elder, as long as you are a political leader and someone who is aspiring to become a president of this country, you have to do something to unite the country. Yeah,
and that is a task for the presidency and their team, and the team they are working, the team working with the acting president. They must also invite the youths, leaders, talk to them in whatever language that we can understand. But let's go to our mailbox, politicalplatform@yahoo.com.
Thanks, Ohiria. Welcome to the mail segment. I'm Amaka Okoro.
And I am a Tenikan Akepu. You're welcome.
We'll begin with a mail from Samson Ojile from Ikotun Egbe in Lagos State. And he writes on the acting president's comment on the 2017 budget. The mail reads, the accusation by the acting president that the legislators tinkered with or introduced new projects into the annual budget is not the first, but that this continued public statement and media trial of the legislators come from the acting president, who is not just a lawyer, but a professor of law and a senior advocate of Nigeria, is worrisome. This is because one expects the executive, which keeps complaining, to seek interpretation of Section 80 and 81 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. But most importantly, the executive arm of government must realize that there is no democratic government without the legislature. The earlier the executive arm acknowledged the indispensable role of the legislature and worked to strengthen it, the better for the nation. This continued pontification by the executive arm on matters of constitutional dispute poses more danger to our democracy than any external force. God bless Nigeria.
This is a reaction to yesterday's analysis, and it's coming from Namdi Nzegu in Kubwa, Abuja. He goes on to say, "Good day, platform crew. A saint in the person of Yomi came to town yesterday and redirected Ohiria, who was going to hide behind the acting president's speech, to harass us as usual with the meaningless cliché of Nigeria's indivisibility and indissolubility. Yomi challenged the media to, for once, stop being docile and timid and take a clear position on what should be done with the Lugadian contraction and advance such courses. Why will the media as a front not insist on the revisiting of the amalgamation document to know who is right or wrong about some of these demands? How would a journalist talk about whether referendum is in the constitution or not before major stakeholders in the country will make a clear demand? The constitution is for man and not otherwise. We do not need a local constitutional provision to ask for something that is ours, that is our inalienable right, and which is enshrined in the UN Charter of Self-Determination."
And towing that line, Alison Justice from Yenagua in Bayelsa State has a very short comment. It says, "If Nigeria's unity is not negotiable, then Nigeria's disunity is negotiable. Goodbye."
And this is from Eka Dixon in Abuja, and he's talking about the acting president's recent meetings. He says the acting president, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, is making a landmark achievement with the current diplomatic and civil way of maintaining peace in the country through the several meetings with the traditional rulers and leaders of the affected regions, where agitations and eviction threats are threatening the peaceful coexistence of the country. The best way to handle such fierce threats lies solely on negotiations and making people understand the need to be together and not the arrest and detention, which has failed to address these issues in the past.
And this is how far we can go on today's mail segment. Do keep sending your mails to us. The route to reach us is still political platform at yahoo.com.
Bust it.
They present the popular radio program Political Platform on the Ray Power FM network. Ray Power FM Political Platform, now on television. Keep track of the country's polity and be part of the process as they discuss and put political developments in the country into perspective. It's Ray Power Political Platform on AIT Abuja.
It's difficult to actually believe that cash that was in the house, a resident that is inhabited by people whose the address is known, the owner of the house is known, money was left in the place, and as we speak, we do not know who got that money.
The committee that was set up by President Muhammad Buhari, then Vice President Oshibajo, had submitted, no report submitted, but before they could submit it, the president had traveled.
So they're probably waiting for the president to come back before.
Yes, but what I can tell you is that you recall the Federal High Court in Lagos gave final forfeiture order for the billions in Ikoyi flat. But a lawyer came and tried to join issues in the Court of Appeal. Who is he representing? What is his interest? Maybe it will help to tell us who the owners are.
Okay, let's go to do the major report, the major analysis we have for you today. At least we should spend like 15 minutes doing that. We have a guest in the house who told you it's Mr. Ezewanwogu, is of Partners for Electoral Reform. A lot of things happening ahead of 2019. Let's begin from the voter registration that is on. Let's talk about the voter registration. I know you have been monitoring. You are interested in knowing what the Independent National Electoral Commission is doing and how Nigerians are also reacting and responding to what the INEC has asked them. What have been your observations?
Well, I think initially we've not been able to transit from the periodic voter registration that we used to have, the one that is an event in which we put out 2 weeks
before just as elections approaching.
So now we're going to run this continuous voter. It becomes truly continuous because it will continue as far as the law allows it up to 60 days to the election period. So initially there was that mad rush. Everybody, including those who have registered before, we are going to the registration venues, but luckily enough, the system was able to fish out many of those people who had registered before. But we're also fortunate that it's not just about voter registration; it's also about what to do to transfer your
voting point.
Your voting point. So
by that you mean if you have moved location?
Yes, if you've moved location, you were staying in Lagos, you are now in Abuja.
Or even you are still in Lagos and you have moved from Victoria Island to
Aja. Or if you stay if you registered in Amak and in Abuja, and you know that during elections we shut down everything, transportation and the rest of them, you have an opportunity now to move your
voting point closer to you.
That's why instead of people who have this challenge doing transfer of voting point, they want to register afresh,
and
it can work.
That's the challenge. But in many places, especially we've got reports from Ebonyi, some states, I mean in the southeast, that you have one system in one local government, everybody rushing, and it takes quite a lot of time.
But that's a national need. I think it's 774 local government areas. It's at the local government areas.
No, I'm talking about one computer
in a particular
place with courses. But then there is also some advocacy around bringing it down to the wards. So that more and more people can have access. Yes. The topography of most of the local governments
and the distance
can be quite challenging. If you go to a place like Taraba or Adamawa, you might find local governments that could take you 3 good hours
to move from one there to access.
And the cost of that is a disincentive for the voter registration.
And
that registration is on.
And Mustafa, in some cases, it's not when I think they must have stabilized now, because we have had situations where people actually move a long distance to get to the location and they meet a large crowd.
We have a fire brigade mentality. What will happen is that towards the closing period again,
people will be rushing.
See more people rushing. So the thing to do now is that this is the time. In those centers, reports are coming that they resume 9 o'clock. They close 3 o'clock. But when they do not find people as usual,
they'll go away.
Yeah, but on this program for several years, we have been shouting to the high heavens that INEC should, open up the units for registration immediately after the election that have passed. I think the problem has to do with the attitude of the electoral body that is when elections are coming, a year or two to the election, they'll start making announcements as if something new is happening. Every other day, somebody in Nigeria, a girl or a boy is turning 18, which means he needs that thing to vote. In other countries, those things are even online. You register and then your data is taken. They have a central data unit. And you're talking about topography. If you're talking about just Taraba, what about places like the Niger Delta? If you go to places like Kebbi State or even parts of Sokoto, there are places that you need to travel to several hours before you get to the point you want to get. I think there is need for the Independent National Electoral Commission to deploy the enormous amount of resources given it to by government to put it in the various ways.
It comes down to the amount of money they won't give them anything but bring election.
We are dealing with cost issues. Yeah. Okay, but by the time you bring this thing down, and as in this particular one, INEC is using, there are no ad hoc staffs.
Their own
staff that are, and so it does not bring any cost. By the time
it bring minimum cost.
Because they are doing, it's their routine work now that they are doing, and that's important, and that's something to congratulate INEC for, that they are able to do this with their own
salaries,
resource that they are
in quotes
that they are able to. But there are rumors here and there that there are issues of misconduct, people wanting to extort registrants and the rest of them, and I think INEC attention has been called on those issues. But more importantly is to begin to also say, look, beyond going to register, we have cards that have not been collected. Millions of cards have not been collected, so it's not just enough to for politically exposed persons to mobilize. And we are not doing this through proxy. You remember, you have to go there personally. So, but in many communities, there is that mobilization, and traditional rulers, politically exposed persons are trying to take advantage
to get their people, their supporters to register.
Well, there is nothing wrong in mobilizing people to go and register, but when you want to go and permit the use of that word, hijack,
or go to court corners, take register people who are not there because you want to up the figures. There is then something that is wrong. But I was also going to ask you whether it has become a pattern for us to just register those who want to register, because just like one of us said just now, every day we see somebody is getting to 18, but we also are also doing burial of people who also die, who had voters card. And every year, Independent National Electoral Commission at every opportunity will tell you this is the number of people on the voter register. Unfortunately, we are not able, because of the absence of data, be able to eliminate those who are not in Nigeria, for instance, or who have died after their registration, or do something about those who are just, their names are just there.
There are attempts here to clean up the voter register. INEC has what is called AFIS. This AFIS is a system in which some of these double registration, deaths, and the rest of them.
How do they determine the deaths?
It may not be perfect. Even that is if you know here, you've had a situation in which some politicians, announced to INEC the death of somebody, a contestant, and when that person is alive and all of that. There are issues with data for us as a country which we need to deal with. People are giving birth to, you don't know where they
people die,
you don't know where they die. Those are general issues, but the instrument, that AFIS thing, is able to at least reduce the challenges that you have with double registration and such other things. But it's a work in progress. What is important is that you have a determined EMB, electoral management body, and civil society and media putting a searchlight. Because if you have a credible voter register, then the tendency that your elections will be credible
is high.
Is very, very high.
Now let's quickly come to the area of the very touchy area of the laws that need to be amended, those things that need to be done before 2019 to correct the mistakes we have seen. We have seen a lot of some people say motion without movement. In one of my programs, your TV program, we try to narrow them down and look at those. How far have we gone with some of these key areas?
I think our electoral law is one of the most amended law in the country. Sometimes we are amending what has already
been amended.
we do not revert back to find out what's been done. But let's focus on the ones that we think will expand the democratic space. We need to remove the legislation that criminalizes electronic voting. That has to leave. It must get out. Whether we are ready or not, the mechanics of it, we may not be able to.
But at least let us
remove it, that electronic voting is no longer illegal in the country. Then we can begin to test diaspora voting. It has its challenges, but we are not the only ones in the world. People are already doing that. Nigeria experimented with it in their last election. People voted in Kano and Abuja. Okay, the Ghanaians vote in Nigeria. Okay, the Americans also vote. There's a mechanics for doing that. But what is the challenge is the law. We have a law that says you cannot be involved in electronic voting, and that posed a lot of challenge in the 2015 judgments that you saw. A lot of people misinterpreted whether the card was electronic. And in fact, if you stretch that argument very further, you may have that challenge of even discrediting even that 2015 election. So we need to clear most of these hurdles. We need to join the children of light and begin to also talk about independent candidacy.
Yeah.
The right of individuals to say, look,
if they
I
don't want
to
a
join
person.
any political party.
Yeah.
I
Like
want
independent candidacy, but I think we need to look at the whole thing holistically. The issue of unbundling of INEC that a lot of Nigerians, including politicians, are running away from. You know, the OS committee report and what have you, including the electronic voting that you are talking about, a system that we need to look at and experiment. If you keep reviewing the laws without, this beautiful innovation, then it's actually motion without movement. In the next 20 years,
you're forgetting that there are other. You have Justice Uwais, you have Justice Lemu.
Yes.
Report on electoral violence. You
Post
have
2011,
not half of it we have not touched. Then you started the one Justice Ministry set up, headed by Namani. All of these things is just that lack of desire to move forward in terms of ensuring that the electoral process.
And now we have more political parties, and more political parties are more political associations are saying register us. Is the space not getting clogged up?
No, it doesn't. It's democracy. What you need to do is to create a criteria for them to appear on the ballot. You do not determine for people. It's their inalienable right to decide to form a political party, but what you can say is for you to appear on the ballot.
Yeah, this is a process you have to apply for.
Yes, because
is it the National Electoral Commission? Are they really equipped? Are they ready? I mean, the electoral process itself, because we have had the debate since the.
No, we've had these parties. Some of them don't even feel candidates, but their right to exist
must not be removed from them.
You cannot remove that, and I keep saying that.
Ganifa Emi established that.
No, not even Ganifa Emi. We copy from somewhere. Yeah. America has over 400 political parties, not up to 14 or thereabout come on the ballot. Because what is an issue always is not even about voting.
It's ideologies.
There are issues about, do you want marijuana in your state?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want
to be legalized
in your state?
Yeah.
Do you want same sex?
Do you want same sex?
Do you want those things are also voted for?
It
differs from
talking about the waste report that made a strong recommendation that the president should no longer appoint the chairman of INEC and possibly the members of the board. Of course, just some 2 weeks back, former INEC chairman Tahiru Jega raised that issue again. He said the president should not, just like Uwais committee recommended, it should be the responsibility of the National Judicial.
Of course, you understand.
There were things he experienced
you should
when
understand.
he was in power.
Yeah, you understand. And
you cannot wear the jersey of a team and you are also refereeing. It's not going to.
You cannot be judging your own case.
There are some of the things we debate in Nigeria is part of the things we took over from the military. They appoint everything. President appoints the Council of the National Human Rights Commission. It is the state that violates the human right of people, and then the president is the chairman of the police council. It is the police that harasses the citizens. So where do you run to?
No balance.
You must come to a point where you are able to take off these things from the president and then find other, so that the president does not, even if he's a good man, because Nigeria likes to stay on the rule of a good man. Oh, he's a good man, he doesn't interfere. What about if you have the one that interferes?
The more we can take on the program, the much we can take on the program this day, and we just come back tomorrow, and when we do, we'll have more for you. And remember to drop us a note, politicalplatform@yahoo.com. My name is Okiri Agbonsoremi.